When Gunlancers attack, their vigorous thrust can result in an explosive climax. And despite getting a redesign, the weapon is still a blast to use. Welcome to my tutorial on the Gunlance. Hey guys, this is Gaijin Hunter. What follows is my weapon tutorial from Monster Hunter Generations, and if you already know everything from it and you just want to jump to what are the changes in Generations Ultimate, about the new art, Alchemy style, and Valor style, jump to the timestamp in the description down below. If you're new to Generations or you want to have a refresher, please sit back and enjoy the entire video. The Gunlance got a design change from Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, and if you can utilize the new system well, the weapon is still good and strong. But the game will punish you if you can't get a hold of the technical aspect of it. At the top left of the screen is the heat gauge, which gets hotter every time you fire the weapon. The concept is simple. The hotter your lance is from firing shells, the more powerful the thrusts become. When in the yellow, your thrust attacks do 100% damage, orange is 115%, and red is 120%. Go over the limit though and you'll overheat and go back to the left where you'll be stuck for a full 2 minutes. Now before we jump in, I'll just put this out there now. Yes, if you can utilize the system well, you'll be doing 20% more damage, but each attack the weapon can do is roughly 15% weaker than it was in Monster Hunter 4U. So the heat gauge is basically a requirement and not really a bonus if you're coming from the previous game. If not, don't worry about it. Shelling is also 20% weaker as well. That being said, the arts, if utilized correctly, can be very powerful, and there are more ways to unload all your shells at once than ever before. So in the end, the weapon still works out to be a very viable choice. It's just much more of a technical weapon than it ever used to be. Shelling. The Gunlance comes equipped with a clip of ammo, and anytime during a combo or idle, you can fire off a shell. Shells do a fixed amount of damage, just like bombs, meaning that it doesn't really matter where on the monster you hit. It also makes it easier to break otherwise hard parts. Each time you shell, you'll eat through 2 to 3 units of sharpness, so using the armor skill Razor Sharp is pretty important if you're going to be shelling a lot. As you shell, the tick on the heat gauge will move up. There's an arbor skill called Artillery that has 2 tiers. The Artillery Novice will raise your shelling damage by 10%, and the Artillery Expert skill will raise it by 20%. There's also a Meal skill that raises your shelling as well by 10%, and it does stack. The artillery skills are really important because it reduces the speed in which the heat gauge ticker decreases, allowing you to stay in the red longer. As with every other weapon, we'll start by looking at guild style. Now before we look into the attacks, here are some of the basic moves. Hold R to use your shield, and just like the lance, it has the strongest shield in the game. Press B to do a back hop, or left and right in B after an attack to do a sidestep. Unlike the lance, which can do 3 evades in a row, the Gunlance can only do 1. Some people may or may not know it, but if you press back and B at the exact same time, you'll do a large back hop. Okay, now let's take a look at the shelling first. Press A while idle or after an attack to fire a shell. After firing a shell, you have 2 choices. You can press A to do a quick reload, which will reload 1 shot, or you can hold R and press A to do a charged shot. Note that you can do charged shots after another attack if you like. To reload, hold R from a guard position and press A, or my favorite, tap A after a back hop or a sidestep and you'll also do a full reload. Finally, for shelling, press R, X, and A at the same time to do the Wyvern Fire attack. This is a powerful attack that will throw your heat gauge back several ticks and hold it there for a full 2 minutes. So if you get far into red and you do it, you can essentially lock yourself into red for 2 minutes. Artillery Novice and Expert skills will decrease the amount the gauge falls back, which makes it a lot easier to fall back into red. For the cooldown, you'll have to wait 2 minutes, but if you have the Artillery Novice skill, the time goes down to 100 seconds, and for Expert, you'll only have to wait 80 seconds before you can use it again. Note that this is actually 4 hits, so if you do it on a sleeping monster, only the first hit gets the sleep damage bonus, so it's still better to use bombs. Okay, now that we've covered how to shell, let's cover the lance attacks. Press X while idle to do a thrust. You can press X once more to do a second thrust. And finally press X a 3rd time and you'll end the combo with the slam. The slam is special because if you press A after it, you'll unload every shot that you have in your Gunlance, and this is what we call the full burst. The power is equal to the number of shots that you unload. From idle or after an attack, you can press X plus A to do an upward strike. This is a really fabulous move that reaches really high, allows you to avoid doing the slam if you don't want to do it, and lets you fire a shell high into the air if you follow it up with A, which is really great for bringing down monsters like Rathalos. After the upward strike, you can press X to do an upward thrust up to 2 times in a row, but they're not that strong. Finally, and this is a bread and butter move, you can press forward and X to do a run and thrust. This is a really important move for the Gunlance because the weapon itself is pretty slow, so this allows you to close distances and it has a high reach as well. You can cancel out of it and press A to go into a shell, or hold R and press A to run in and do a charged shot. Alternatively, you can just press R, forward, and A at the same time to do a run-in shell. So yeah, as you can see, if you play around with this, there are many choices in how to combo and string moves together. The last move for guild style is the jump attack. Press forward plus X to do your run-in jump to jump off a ledge and do a jumping slam. For the guild style and the aerial style only, this slam also reloads one shot, which is kinda nice. You can also do a run-in shell off a ledge if you like, or you can do the basic aerial thrust if your weapon is not drawn. So that covers all the moves. But before we go into the other styles, let's take a look at the 3 types of Gunlances there are in the game. Each one is a set type of shot. This section will apply to all the other styles as well. Normal shot. For normal shot, you'll get 5 shells in each clip, and each shot is not that powerful. For this type, it's all about abusing that full burst to unload all 5 shots at once, and you even get a 10% damage bonus for the full burst with normal shot as well. Long shot. The long shot is for those who like to sneak in shots here and there during their combos. The long shot comes with a clip of 3 shells, and each hit does pretty high fire damage as well and has longer range. This shot also features the longest red heat gauge. Long shot gets a 20% bonus to Wyvern's fire, so you'll definitely want to be using that move whenever it's available. And finally, we have wide shot, which is pure firepower. You only get 2 shells in a single clip, but each shot is powerful and wide reaching. Please be careful if you use this one online because the shots will send your teammates flying. This is for players who really want to focus on shelling rather than using the lance. Wide shot only gets 2 shots in a clip, so not only do you want to avoid using the full burst because it won't be that powerful, but this type also gets a minus 10% penalty for that as well. However, it does get a massive 45% bonus for charged shots, so you'll definitely want to utilize those whenever you can. Finally, here is the power of a shell for each type of Gunlance. Striker style. For Striker style, you lose the full burst completely, so this is definitely not for normal shot Gunlances and more tailored for wide shot. Because you lose the full burst, you'll also lose the slam at the end of the X combo, but in its place, you can now do 3 thrusts in a row. Because of this, it also makes it a really good style for both status or elemental Gunlances. After the 3rd hit, you can do a shell and go right back into another 3-hit combo, or from the 3rd hit, you can even combo into the Wyvern Fire. For jump attacks, you only get the thrust as well. Aerial style. Like Striker, you'll get a 3 thrust combo instead of the slam, which has been moved now to the aerial. You'll lose the ability to do a backstep, and instead you'll do a forward hop. If you vault off a monster, you can go right into a slam and then full burst, or if you have a bigger opening, you can press A after an aerial vault to do a shell, and then you can slam and full burst from there. It's also worth noting that if you don't have a really large clip size, or if you just want to get in a lot of hits, after the aerial slam, you can go right into your X button attack combo. Adept style. In Adept style, you'll lose the ability to do a quick reload, but trust me, that is not an issue. For Adept, you get the Adept Guard, not the Adept Evade. Press R and you'll notice that you'll do a wind-up motion as you go into a guard. If you get hit during this, you'll do an upward thrust, which is really powerful and it fully reloads your weapon. From there you can evade out, but if you have the opening you can also press X to do a strong slam. From the strong slam you can do a burst, so this style really lets you abuse the full burst as much as you want. The Gunlance is equipped with 3 really good hunter arts. The first one is Blast Dash. This art charges up stupidly fast, so it greatly allows you to overcome the fact that the Gunlance is not that mobile. At level 3, you can end the dash at any time and go right into the slam. From there, of course, you can do a full burst. This art certainly makes the weapon a lot more powerful than before, which is really good given the adjustment in motion values it underwent. the Wyvern's Breath. This art takes a while to charge up, but will send you into max heat gauge for 60 seconds at level 1, 2 minutes for level 2, and a full 3 minutes at level 3. During this time, not only do you do maximum damage, but your shelling also gets an additional hit bonus as well, worth 10 raw damage and 10 fire. If you overheat, you can still use this skill and it'll push you into max, so this is a really powerful skill. And finally, the Super Wyvern Blast. This is a super version of the Wyvern Blast and it doesn't affect your heat gauge at all. You can't change your position once you start it, so make sure you have a good position before you start. The first hit is the biggest, so make sure you land that, and then if you land them all, you'll do over 200 damage, which is really big. And now some final thoughts. The Gunlance motion value is being reduced is disappointing, but as you can see, the weapon has some really interesting flexibility now, and if you can use the heat gauge right and utilize the arts, you can do some serious damage. For normal shot Gunlance, everything but Striker is great. Being able to guard anything though without the need for guard plus armor skills is just simply too large to ignore, so I say Adept wins, at least for me. For wide shot, Striker is great, but Adept also works as well, since you don't have to do the full burst, you can just do the Adept guard and go straight into the strong uppercut. For long shot, I think all the styles are fine. For me personally, I really like Adept style, especially when you get good at readjusting your position in between the Adept guard and the follow-up counterattack. It really makes the weapon flexible. But all the other styles are really interesting and I can see all of them being used by a wide range of players. Changes. The Dragon Blast Hunter art is now stronger. The calculations up on the screen, it's a little bit ridiculous, but it's tied to your weapon's power, so the more powerful your raw damage is, the more damage you'll do. Basically, if you have a 300 attack weapon at endgame, you'll do 152 for the first hit, 16 for hits 2 through 10, so a total of 296. Alchemy style. For the honor of being able to use the Alchemy barrel, you'll give up the ability to do charged shelling, as well as the upward strike from a combo. The upward strike is actually kind of a critical move for the Gunlance, so unless you can get used to it, that might be a little awkward at first. For this style, the Wyvern Blast behaves differently, which is kind of interesting. It triggers up really fast, and it does half the damage, but cools down in just 1 minute. So basically you can use it twice as much, but it does half the power. Valor style. When not in Valor mode, your full reload and Wyvern Fire are both hidden behind the Valor Sheath cancel attacks. Your quick reload is now done with R+A, and it gets a guard point during it as well, meaning that if you get hit while you're doing the quick reload, you'll automatically guard the attack. Note that you can do a quick reload even if you have full ammo. For cancel attacks, you can do quite a few. As with the other weapons, hold Y, and if you get hit during this animation, you'll automatically sheath your weapon and take only 30% damage. Or, you can hold Y and press X to do an upward thrust reload. This is basically like a quick reload. Or you can hold Y and press A to do a forward shell thrust. This is actually pretty fast and really good for building up your gauge. And finally, you can hold Y and press R and A to do a full reload. Note that you don't actually have to be holding Y the entire time you hit R and A, because that's a little awkward with your fingers. So you can hold Y and in the middle of the animation quick release your fingers. As long as you within a split second get hit R and A, you can do the full reload. It's a little awkward, but I think you'll get used to it. And finally, hold Y and press X and A to do a Wyvern's Blast. Since this style is prone to overheating, make sure to use this when it's on the far right of the heat gauge to lock yourself into red for maximum damage. Once you get into Valor mode though, the fun begins. First, and you may not notice this, you can actually do a lance thrust combo from a slam, so if you want to, you can just spam X to do a nice combo. Second, and this is the key point of the style, is that the quick reload gets a massive power up. For normal shot, you'll now restock 4 shots with just 1 quick reload, 3 shots for long, and 2 shots for wide shell type in just one of these motions. You can also do it just about after anything, including the slam, a guard poke, or even after a sidestep you can do it. And if that wasn't powerful enough, you don't lose any sharpness when guarding attacks using the quick reload, and its guarding capabilities are slightly higher than non-Valor mode. Furthermore, you can do a slam right after a quick reload by pressing X, allowing you to go into a full burst pretty much immediately afterwards. It is great for abusing with the normal shell type Gunlances. Oh, but we're not done yet. If you do a shelling attack in the middle of a combo, it becomes a Valor shell. Press A after one to do another and another. Think of it like a rapid shot. Each consecutive shot gets a small power and speed boost. The second shot you do is 20% more powerful, the third is 50%, fourth is 2 times, and the fifth shot that you do is 2.6 times more powerful than normal. And finally, hold R and press X and A in Valor mode to do a Valor and Wyvern Blast. This is a faster version that reaches farther than the original one. The more ammo you have when you do this, the stronger it gets. It's actually really interesting because it makes it more powerful for normal shot when traditionally it's been tailored for long shot only. New art. In this glorious hunter art, you'll reload your gun, shoot upward in the sky, and then if you hit the monster, you'll unleash a powerful Wyvern Blast follow-up, and then fully reload again. The attack does a ton of damage, but the official guide doesn't give the exact numbers, but we do know that it has a part breaker bonus as well. Basically, if you hit a flying monster in the sky, they are going down. Overall, Valor Gunlance is insane, and I'm sure it's going to be one of the most popular weapon style combos in the entire game. Add Up remains strong as well. It's no secret that I'm not a player of Gunlance, but Valor style just might change that. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hit that like button if you did, subscribe if you haven't already, and until next time, happy hunting.